question was posed, what is art? And what can be the relationship between art and spirituality? Whereas art can be many things, I would like to relate to the question in terms of the art that we create. I find that it is my responsibility and the responsibility of the artist to try to make oneself totally pure so that one can become a receptor for information that comes from a higher source. Before I play a concert of the well-tuned piano, I prepare for weeks for the concert, and I lead a very pure life, only concentrating on the concert that is coming up. And before the concert, I pray that I will be pure enough that the information that comes through me, that I will be strong enough to make this information realized into sound and transmit it to the people that are listening. In my own case, I feel that it is my responsibility as an artist to bring people information about time and universal structure, information that they could not otherwise have access to. And I feel that through the way that I work in sound, people can find keys to unlock doorways that lead to different levels of understanding about time and universal structure. For instance, the chord that we are listening to now is a very complex chord of 27 frequencies. These frequencies are all related to each other in the system of just intonation. Just intonation is that system of tuning which I define to be the system of tuning in which every frequency is related to every other frequency as the numerator or denominator of some whole number fraction. Only frequencies which have rational relationships to each other produce periodic composite waveforms. The composite waveform is the waveform that is produced when two or more frequencies are played together. Only waveforms that are produced by intervals that have whole number frequency relationships to each other are periodic. Our concept of time depends on a concept of periodicity. Without the concept of periodicity, we have no concept of time. time is a way of measuring vibration. Universal structure can be analyzed through vibration. Through listening to frequency relationships which produce periodic composite waveforms, we can have an understanding about our relationship to time and to universal structure. Sound takes place in time. Vibration takes place in time. We can think of going back to the very beginning, and we can think of our first understandings of sound. There's a concept which is current among psychoacousticians, that our ability with language and speech perception is the foundation for our abilities to perceive pitch and to work with music. I was discussing this idea with Marian one time, and she made a different proposal.
Well, I suggested that it was a short-sighted view of mankind to think that the process of developing pitch perception was simply to solve the problems, important as they are, of finding food and water. And in fact, that there was undoubtedly a deeper and more spiritual need for the development of communication.
And so I thought about this idea, and I proposed the theory that the first sounds that man made were actually an attempt to understand something about time and universal structure. Even such simple questions as where did we come from, why are we here, and where are we going? And if you take a simple musical interval, such as a perfect fifth, which is in the ratio of 3 to 2, and you sustain it and listen to it, what you're listening to is the relationship of 3 vibrations taking place in the time of 2 vibrations. And you're understanding something about vibration taking place in time. A perfect fifth is a musical interval that many of us learn to hear, recognize, sing, repeat, play on a musical instrument. In Western classical music, the entire system has been analyzed as being based on the primes 2, 3, and 5. That is, all of the musical intervals are multiples of 2, 3, and 5. And in Indian classical music, it can be demonstrated that all of the intervals are multiples of 2, 3, 5, and 7. Certain Western composers like Harry Partch, Lou Harrison, Ben Jonson, and others since then have worked with slightly higher primes, such as 11 and 13 and 17. And in my own work, I've begun to work with primes from much higher in the harmonic series, such as 29, 31, 59, 61. In the case of the chord that we're listening to now, this chord is composed of what are called twin primes within a certain range, actually within certain ranges. And the range is the interval of the ratio 9 to 7, but we're going to transpose that interval up a few octaves so that in the range 36 to 28 we have the primes 29 and 31. Twin primes are those primes which are no more than 2 apart. And in the range 56 to 72, we have the twin primes 59 and 61. And in the range 112 to 144, we have the twin primes 137 and 139. And so on up in the range 228 to 288, and in the octave higher than that, which is the range 576 and 448 to 576. So this chord is made only of twin primes within those ranges. In a previous chord that I worked with in New York City, I worked with the primes in the range 112 to 144, and I didn't limit myself to twin primes. The composition that I presented for 1 year at the DR Foundation 22nd Street environment in New York City was the romantic symmetry over a 60-cycle bass in prime time from 112 to 144 with 119. And working with primes is working with the essences of vibrational structure. Primes are like primeval essences. They are like molecular essences. Through working with higher primes, we are finding the ability to evolve entire new musical languages. By working through a gradually expanding threshold of primes, we are increasing our understanding of vibrational structure. It was very interesting when we began to study Indian classical music with Pandit Pranad in 1970 in that he presented us with a system that had been handed down for hundreds and perhaps thousands of years that was a completely integrated system of spirituality expressed in the medium of sound. And this helped me to understand more graphically and vividly something which I had intuited in my earlier work, the spiritual relationship of sound